Friends, here we will do the chapter Rebels and the Raj, the revolt of the 1857. Here comes a question: what is the meaning of the revolt? Okay, in context with the mutiny. So, when we talk about revolt, the term revolt it refers primarily to the uprising of the civilian population, peasant, jamidar, raja, jagitar, while the mutiny was of the sepoy, the rebel done by the sepoy. So here comes a question, another question: when and where did the mutiny start in 1857? So here you can see late in the afternoon of 10th May 1857, the Sipai in the cantonment of Meerut, they broke out in mutiny. So these are the short questions which can be asked in one word. Here you can see that what is the meaning of the term Firangi. So Firangi, a term of Persian origin, okay, as it is possibly it is derived from the franc from which France get its name and is used in Urdu and Hindi often in a derogatory sense or in a disrespectful to designate the foreigner. So we use the word for the foreigner, we use the word Firangi. So here comes what were the main sources for the reconstruction of the revolt of 1857. So you will write the main sources are the British record, the official accounts and other account that was prepared by the British. Very few records on the rebel point of view. Some rebels proclamation as you can see the Azamgarh proclamation and notifications and the letters which rebel leader wrote. So here comes a very important question that why did the mutinous, the sepoy, in many places they turned to erstwhile ruler. So here erstwhiles are the former ruler as they turned to Bahadur Shah II, okay, to provide leadership in the revolt. So you know that the sepoy they arrived at the gate of the Red Fort early in the morning on the 11th May. It was the month of Ramzan, the Muslim holy month of prayer and fasting. So the old Mughal emperor Bahadur Shah had just finished his prayer and meal before the sun rose and the fast began. He heard that the commotion at the gates. The sepoys who had gathered under his window told him that they had come from Meerut after killing all the Englishmen there, as they told them to bite cartridge that were illegally coated with the fat of cow and pig with their teeth. So this corrupted the faith of the Hindu and Muslim alike. So another group of the sepoy they also entered Delhi. The common people of the city joined them. Europeans were killed in large number. The rich of the Delhi were attacked and looted. So it was clear that Delhi had gone out of the British control. Some sepoys they rode into the Red Fort without observing the elaborate court etiquette expected of them. So they demanded that the emperor give them blessing. Surrounded by the sepoys, the Bahadur Shah had no other option but to comply. So the revolt it acquired a kind of legitimacy because it could now be carried on in the name of the Mughal emperor. Once the word spread that Delhi had fallen to the rebel and Bahadur Shah had blessed the rebellion, event moved swiftly. So you can see the whole event that took place on 11th May. The incidents after the revolt began in the year 1857. So here comes the question that why did they turn to the native rulers for leadership or Bahadur Shah II for leadership? So the East India Company they had defeated the native rulers to grab power in India. Many believed that the native Indian ruler had the legal and legitimate authority to regain power in the respective kingdom. So it was natural that they became the leader of the rebel and regained the lost status of ruler. So even the erstwhile or the former rulers, they had substantial resources at their command. They had wealth and private armies too. The rebel waited to get the support of resources from them, and by declaring them the leader, it was a natural outcome. So most of the former Indian rulers, they were very popular at the local level. This subject often sympathized with them as they believed that the latter was unlawfully thrown out of the power and even they had to suffer humiliations. So choosing these native rulers was echoing the sentiments of the people and winning more support for this cause. So here comes the patterns of the rebellion and how the mutinies began. So when we talk about the pattern of the rebellion, you can see the sequence of event. In every cantonment, they followed a similar patterns. So the Sipai, they started a task with a unique signal. It was the firing of the evening gun or the sounding of the bugle at many places. They first captured the bell of arms. So the bell of arm here is a store room in which the weapons were kept. Okay, and then they looted the treasury. Later they attacked and burnt the government of buildings, the jail, the treasury, the bungalows, record room, telegraph offices and records. So white men were the target. Declaration was made in Hindi, Urdu and Persian and propagated in the cities, calling the Hindu and the Muslim common man. They started to join the mutiny. So the object of the rebel, it wrath on a moneylenders and the rich in major towns like you can see Kanpur, Lucknow, Bareilly. They were considered not only as oppressors by the peasants but were also seen as an allies of the British. So the mutiny in the Sepoy, it rank swiftly became a rebellion. So the British, they had no answer to the actions, okay, of the rebels during the month of May and June. They were engaged to save their lives and life of their family members. One British officer, he described British rule that collapsed like a house made of cards. So here comes line of communication in which a question can be asked that discuss the evidence that indicate planning and coordination. Okay, here it talk about planning and here it talk about coordinations. Okay, so you have to write the evidences that indicate that there was a planning and coordination on the parts of the rebels. So you can see the rebel or the reasons for the similarity in the patterns, okay, of the rebel in different places. It lay partially in its planning and coordinations. So it is clear that there was communications, okay, between the Sipai lines of various cantonment. As you can see, the 7th Award Irregular Cavalry had refused to accept the new cartridge in the early May. They wrote to the 48th Native Infantry that they had acted for the faith and awaited the 48th order. The Sipais or their emissaries, they moved from one station to another. People were thus planning and talking about the rebellion. So here you can see a great planning or the rebellion. It was not abrupt and sporadic but to a great extent done with planning and care. So we read earlier also, as we talk about the pattern, the same pattern was followed everywhere. So the Sipai, they started their action with the signal of firing of the gun or sounding of the bugles. Bells of arms were seized, treasuries were looted, prisoners set free and bungalows set fire. It show a planning or the program that was set by the cantonments. So here you can see that Captain Hearsay of the Awadh military police had been given protection by his Indian subordinate during the mutiny. Even the 41st Native Infantry, which was stationed in the same place, insisted that since they had killed all their white officers, so the military police should also kill Hearsay or deliver him as a prisoner to the 41st. So the military police, they refused to do it and decided that the matter would be selected or it would be settled by a panchayat composed of native officers drawn from each regiment. It's mean to coordinate them. There is a panchayat, there is a council that is working. So here you can see, given the fact that the Sepoy lived in lines and shared a common lifestyle and that many of them came from the same caste, it is not difficult to imagine them sitting together to decide their own features. The Sepoys were the maker of their own rebellion. There are other some incidents also which show planning and coordination. As far you can see chapatis, it was passed, okay, from village to village during the winter of 1856-57. The meaning and purpose of those chapatis not clear even today, but there is no doubt that people perceived it as an omen of an upheaval. So, in various places, people collected, they conferred and planned attack. People of neighboring villages were connected with caste and kingship, tied together as decisions were taken collectively. Were a nightly occurrence in Kanpur Sepoy lines. So here comes a question that how did the rumors and the prophecies, okay, played an important part in the mutiny of 1857. So these rumors and the prophecies, they played an important part in moving people to action. As we saw, the Sepoy who had arrived in Delhi from Meerut, okay, had told Bahadur Shah about the bullet coated with the fat of cow and pig, and that biting those bullets would corrupt their caste and religion. So they were referring to the cartridge of the Enfield rifles which had just been given to them. So the British tried to explain to the Sepoy, but this was not the case. But the rumor that the new cartridge were greased with the fat of the cow and with the fat of cows and pigs spread like wildfire across the Sepoy line of North India. So this is the one rumor whose origin can be traced. So Captain Wright, commandant of the Rifle Instruction Depot, reported that in the third week of January 1857, a low caste Khalasi who worked in the magazine in them had asked a Brahmin Sepoy for a drink of water from his lota. The Sepoy had refused, saying that the lower caste touched would defile the lota. So the Khalasi, he reportedly retorted that the Sepoy will soon lose his caste as he will have to bite cartridges that are covered with fat of cows and pigs. So the veracity of the report is not known, but once this rumor started, no amount of assurances from the British officials was able to stop its circulation and the fear that spread among the sepoys. So this was not only the rumor that circulated in North India at the beginning of 1857. There was the rumor that the British government, they had hatched a conspiracy to destroy the caste and religion of Hindu and Muslim. To this end, the rumors said that the British had mixed the bone dust of cow and pigs into the flour that was sold in the market, in the town, in the cantonment, in the sepoys, and the common people refused to touch the atta. So there was a fear and suspicion that the British, they wanted to convert Indians to Christianity. So panic spread fast. British officers tried to allay their fears, but in vain. So you can see these fears stirred men to take action against the Britishers. The response to the call for action were reinforced by the prophecy, the predictions that British would rule. This British rule, okay, it would come to an end of this 100 years after the Battle of Plassey on 23rd June 1857. So rumors were not only the thing that was circulating at the times, even you can see reports come from the various part of the North India that chapati, it was being distributed from village to village. A person would come at night and give a chapati to the watchman of the village and ask him, okay, to make five more and distribute to the next village, and so on. So the meaning and the purpose of the distribution of chapati, it is not clear even today, but there is no doubt that the people read it as an omen of an upheaval. So here comes a question, that why did the people they believe in the rumors? So the rumors in the 1857, okay, they begin to make sense when seen in the context of the policies the British pursue from the late 1820. So under the leadership of Governor General, you can see Lord William Bentinck, the British they adopted the policy reforming the Indian society by introducing the Western education, Western idea and Western institutions. And with the cooperation, you can see, of sections of the Indian society, they set up English medium schools, colleges and universities which taught Western science and the liberal art. Even the British they established law to abolish the customs like sati and to permit the remarriage of Hindu widows. Even you can see by 1850 passed the Hindu property law was enabled to convert to Christianity to inherit an ancestral property. So the people resentment was fueled by the Maulvis and the Brahmins. Religious sentiment also hurt by the official policy of taxing land that belonged to temples and mosques. So Dalhousie policy to extend direct British rule in order to expand market for the British goods, it fueled the rumors annexations of Awadh. By the doctrine of lapse, if a ruler died without natural heir, the state was liable to be annexed by the British. Satara, Nagpur and Jhansi were also annexed under the doctrine of lapse. Dalhousie, he refused the title of many ex-ruler or paid their pensions. Name of Karnate, Raja of Travancore, pensions of Nana Sahib was stopped as he was the adopted son of Peshwa. So in these situations of uncertainty, rumors it spread with remarkable swiftness and people they start believing the rumors.